It is 1 p.m. in Damascus at 6 a.m. in New York. I'm Monita, Rajpal. You're watching CNN. This is World One. The UN new special envoy to Syria is starting a peace mission that even he considers nearly impossible. Algerian diplomat Lakhdar Brahimi is in Cairo for talks with Egyptian President Mohamed Morsi and Arab League officials. But he's been handed the puzzle his predecessor, Kofi Annan, admitted he couldn't resolve, finding some way of stopping the carnage in Syria. Mohammed Jamjoon is following the developments from Beirut in Lebanon. He joins us now live with more on. Let's begin first of all with Lakhdar Brahimi's mission there in Syria. He's having talks with Egyptian officials. What exactly are they discussing that hasn't been discussed before?
Well, essentially, Monita, how to try to meet with enough regional leaders and gather enough...
Thank you for that. Mohammed Jamjoon reporting to us there from Beirut. British police have created an exclusion zone around the home that belonged to a family that was almost wiped out in a multiple shooting last week. Authorities are telling CNN they are concerned about items found at the house near London, and they've evacuated people from the neighboring homes. Schubert is following the police investigation. She joins us now here in the studio, and it seems the details seem to get more and more mysterious as to what actually what surrounded this tragedy to happen.
Well, exactly. It's the motivation that's really puzzling police at this point. Why was this family targeted in this way? What it appears to be almost an execution-style killing with 2 shots to the head of each victim.
Right, Atika, thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. You're watching World One live from London. The Troika's in town, and for Greeks already fed up with austerity measures, it means get ready to tighten that belt yet another notch. Officials from the European Union, the IMF, and the European Central Bank are meeting with Greek Prime Minister Antonis Samaras today, and they want a progress report on the government's next round of austerity measures before they okay another $40 billion bailout installment. Alinda Lepropolo joins us now from Athens, where more anti-austerity protests have been taking place. Alinda, so they want this progress report. How are the Greeks doing?
Well, so far, talks are still underway between the Prime Minister and the Troika.
Thank you for that. Alinda Lepropolo there joining us from Athens. We want to see what newspapers in the region are saying about this. The European edition of the Wall Street Journal has a comment piece with this headline: Europe must complete its single market. Underneath, it goes on to say it isn't just the crisis countries that need to push ahead with reforms if the Eurozone is to have a chance of pulling out of its crisis. The single currency's long-term survival depends on the completion of Europe's single market, in which the free movement of goods, capital, and people isn't just rhetoric, but reality. In Britain, a headline in The Guardian says, consigned to serfdom for the sake of the euro. Wednesday is the day when German judges determined whether taking part in the planned Eurozone Rescue Fund would be a breach of the country's constitution. And that is the focus of this article. And it says, today, Germany's political establishment seems committed to consigning German taxpayers to economic serfdom and stagflation for at least a generation. The issue is, will the German Constitutional Court take itself and the German voter seriously? In Greece, the headline in the English edition of the Katimirini, The Last Squall. It's an opinion piece that goes on to say, if Greece wants to be included in Europe's future plans for the bloc and convince voters in Germany and the Netherlands that it deserves to be a part of development, it cannot go back on its commitments. But how do you explain to the beleaguered people of Greece that they must ride out another round of austerity? One issue, many views, and you can read all those articles in full at facebook.com/W1CNN. The European crisis is a story told mostly in numbers: rising debt and falling revenues, soaring unemployment and sinking output. But behind the statistics are the human stories of hardship, which for some people are just simply too great to cope with. Ben Wiedemann has more now from Italy.
Un bacio a tutti, ti voglio tanto bene, Giuseppe.
From driving home to driving home a message in the first part of a week-long series, Your Green World, Christy Lou Stout spoke to a Hong Kong designer who's turning old taxis into new handbags.
Causeway Bay, Hong Kong, where big crowds and brand names dominate.
You are watching World One, live from London. Kabul hails a milestone in the transition of power, and government has assumed formal control of Bagram prison, the controversial jail where NATO was detaining thousands of men accused of being Taliban fighters. The ceremonial handover comes despite a last-minute row with the U.S. over delays. A wave of coordinated attacks in Iraq Sunday has killed dozens of people and put into question efforts to stabilize the country. Meanwhile, Iraq's Sunni vice president rejects a court ruling in Iraq that sentenced him to death. Meanwhile, political instability, while that's taking place right now in the country as well, there's also a series of coordinated attacks across Iraqi cities yesterday. What's leading to this, what some are describing as an uptick in violence?
Well, we've been seeing these kind of major coordinated attacks at least once a month since American troops left.
Baghdad bureau chief for Reuters joining us there from Baghdad. You are watching World One live from London. Well, 15 and counting, Serena Williams added another Grand Slam title to her glittering resume on Sunday night. Pedro Pinto is here with all the details from a pretty fantastic U.S. Open final.
It was. You know, I stayed up late watching it last night. Maybe paid the price a little bit this morning, but it was worth it because
we can't tell.
Well, it's the makeup. Yeah. It's the makeup. It was definitely worth it, though, Monita, because it was truly a fantastic final. Serena, his contract negotiations at McLaren so far, Monita, but he's showing that it's not affecting his driving with a good performance on Sunday.
You know what I like about American football?
Tell me.
Fall is around the corner, or it's in the air.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You like fall, autumn?
I do.
Really?
It's my favorite season.
Okay.
Yeah. You didn't get that connection though, did you?
I did, because it signals it's that time of year.
It is.
Are you trying to link into another story now?
No, I was just saying that's what it reminds me of. That's what it makes me feel happy. And then I just realized actually it does link into the fact that we're going to be looking at weather when we come back with Mario Ramos.
Fair enough.
Hey, you know what, Monita? Autumn is my favorite time of the year as well.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at what's been trending on social media right now, shall we? Let's begin here in China. And this unusual sight has got a lot of people talking. It's the Yangtze River that's turned blood red. The river is in an industrial area of southwestern China, and there's a lot of speculation about why it's happening. Authorities are said to be investigating. We take you from China and then to France. The country's richest man has caused some outrage online and in local media. Bernard Arnault, the chairman of the luxury goods group LVMH, recently applied for Belgian citizenship. Many see that as a move to avoid paying the higher taxes President François Hollande has promised to introduce. Well, Arnault, though, says he will still be a French taxpayer. And then from there, we take you to the United States and a big bear hug that's caught our attention. President Obama made a stop at a pizza parlor while he was on the campaign trail in Florida. The owner was so excited to see him, he lifted him right off the ground in a big bear hug. Asked if he was concerned about how the president's bodyguards would react, Scott Van Duzer said he was told it was all right as long as I didn't take him away. Oh, it's nice to be greeted that way in a big bear hug. Well, heavy rain has continued to plague Southeast Asia. Mari Ramos is at the CNN World Weather Center with more on that. Mari?
You know, Monita, it's almost like when we get to this time of year, toward the end of the summer, that's for change. Pull out the fall wardrobe.
It was a gorgeous weekend, but hopefully, no, we don't want rain, not least for the next few hours. There's a big parade here in London for Team GB's Olympians, so they're going to be out on these floats, so we don't want them to be, caught in any rain. I know, it should be nice, hopefully. All right, if the weather holds up, Mari. Thank you very much for that. You're watching World One live from London. I'm Monita Rajpal. Thank you for joining us. We'll update you with the news headlines in just a couple of minutes.